It's day 1128 of the 35th lockdown in the UK, so I'm heading to the Darkroom. Welcome back. For today's video I thought I'd do something slightly different I haven't covered before, and I thought I'd actually take the negatives that I took from the Holga in the last video when I was out in the fog. I'll put a link to that up on the left or right hand side, wherever it comes up. And I thought I'd take some of those negatives and see what they look like when I printed them in the darkroom. We're still in lockdown, obviously, in the UK, so time getting out is limited, but no reason to not get in the darkroom when we're at home. I've got a very small darkroom space, but it does the trick. It means I can generally print up to 11 by 14 if I need to. Printing 8 by 10 or 9.5 by 12 paper is really easy to do. So I headed into the darkroom and worked through a couple of prints. Today I'm just going to talk you through kind of the negatives, how I chose which images to print, talk about some of the test prints and kind of roughly how I work before showing you the final prints, and then talking through kind of how I kind of got to the final image. I was hoping to do a little bit more filming in the darkroom, but I've still got a little bit to learn about how to do that. Like I said, it's quite a small space. I can't really go in there with my tripods, and I'm not even sure my wide angle is wide enough fully. So it'll be a while until I think I can actually work directly from do videos in the darkroom, but hopefully I can give you a bit of a flavour of some of my darkroom work today, and then also kind of some of the prints as well. So hope you enjoy the video. Let's have a look at those negatives then that I took with the Holga after I developed them at home, and we'll see which ones look good to print. So as you look through the negatives here, the negatives actually look quite good, so very pleased with how they've developed. Doesn't seem to be any obvious mistakes. There's only the one frame where I made an error, and I knew I'd made an error in the field, so that sometimes it's the way, especially when working with something like the Holga. You can always make a mistake, but you live and learn and just kind of crack on to the next frame. Overall these negatives are looking good, and from kind of going through and kind of having scanned the images previously, there were maybe sort of 3 or 4 images that I wanted to have a go at printing in the darkroom. So I'm going to head out to the darkroom now, and I'll work on those prints. I'll start off with doing some test strips before moving up to some mini test prints before doing a final print on 9.5 by 12 paper and printing an 8 by 8 inch image on that. I'm just going to be using the RC Pearl paper today, using the Multigrade, which is actually the new formula, but it's great for test printing before I move on to doing the final fibre prints. So as usual, I just start off with a small test strip. Each step in that wedge is a 1/3 difference, and then I was quite happy with that, so I moved up to a slightly bigger print just so I could see the sky and the foreground all on the same print, still only on small paper. Once I'd agreed on my base time, I did a small print to check that, and based on the ground, so I was happy here with the exposure of the ground. Then I did a second mini print where I actually burnt in the top half by 2/3 of a stop. So the final print is an 8 by 8 image, and once I knew the base exposure for the ground, then it was just a case of adding 2/3 exposure to the top half and burning that in from the top of the paper down to balance out the exposure between the top and the foreground. And overall I'm really pleased with how that one came out. So next I moved on to testing the small woodland scene, and again small print, 1/3 of a stop is each of the wedges there. Just to give me an idea, and I moved quite quickly up to a big print. It looked like it was going to be quite straightforward, and actually I settled on a time really quickly before producing the final 8 by 8 print, and I was really pleased with how this came out. And often the Holga is quite surprising. I'm surprised at the detail and textures that are in the ferns in the foreground, and sometimes the Holga just kind of catches you out and produces some lovely negatives for printing. So the next image that I attempted to print was actually the image looking up to the tree canopy, and this one proved quite tricky. And obviously, as I've done, I've always start off with my little 3rd step wedges, and what I'm doing here is actually on each of those I've changed the contrast filter in the enlarger to try and get a little bit more separation between the sky and the branches. Ultimately, I settled on a much higher contrast filter before doing this test print, which gave me the broad range of tones I was looking for, and then a mini test print here before finally moving on to the final print. And actually the final 8x8 print here, I'm really pleased with how it came out. The contrast was just right, and I was able to create enough separation between the branches, the fine branches, and the sky in the background. It could have started off quite a low contrast image, so I was pleased with actually making those small adjustments to the contrast filter. Gave me the image I was looking for. I hope you enjoyed that. It was nice to be able to share some of kind of the work process that I go through in terms of test strips in the darkroom to then arrive at the sort of final print and the finished product. So it's nice to be able to share that with you, and hopefully if you like it, it's the kind of thing that I think I want to add more of into the channel, especially with the darkroom. The darkroom work is quite nice to share, and it's always a little bit of a different angle on kind of what I do with my photography. So hopefully I'll get more of that, so expect more to come. I hit my first YouTube kind of milestone last week when I hit over 100 subs. Long way to go until I catch up with a lot of other people, but getting the first 100 was quite a nice little achievement. So thank you for everyone that has subscribed so far. In honor of reaching that target, and also in line with today's video, then I'm actually going to be giving away this print from today. So you'll have seen that in the video, and it's a print from the Holga, and I'll be sending that out to one lucky winner. So if you'd like to win the print, all you need to do is leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll randomly choose a winner ahead of the next video that will be published on the February 11th. So if you want to be in with the chance of winning the print, just leave a comment in the comment section below. So that's it for this week. So just want to say thanks again for watching, and stay safe and take care.